Okay, hi again, everyone, and thank you for having me. I'll turn on my camera because Ojulorowa, if you're Yoruba, you'll understand that. I basically mean that. Um, I don't even know what the English version should be, but essentially, face to face is good. So I'm basically just going to be talking through, how to build your email list. So, but I also want to get a feel of those of us in the room. Have you started your email list already? Do you have subscribers already? Where exactly are you at? And I will just deep dive into the session. I'm waiting as well. So just give me an idea. You started something already, you've never, or at least you follow some people's newsletters or you read some people's newsletters. You've definitely gotten a couple of those, right? So today I'm basically going to be talking us through practical strategies just for visibility, for connection, and things around building an email list. Like Bitlaya said, I'm a creator and career pivot coach. I personally believe that everyone is a creator. So feel free to own that with your entire chest. I've been working for over 12 years and I'm currently a VP at a tech startup. And I basically lead teams in Africa and Europe. I'm just building businesses and helping customers achieve their own goals. But being a 9 to 5er hasn't stopped me from being in what we call a creator in this age and time, a content creator. I write a career growth and personal growth newsletter on Substack, and it's grown to 10,000 subscribers, has been viewed over almost 300,000 times. And I've also coached over 100 people through bold career moves because for me, I believe that our careers should absolutely follow our lives and not drain it. So I'm a big sucker for just doing work that you love or finding work that you love and doing it beautifully. If you're seeing or hearing about me for the first time, please check out my newsletter and feel free to connect with me on Instagram or Twitter. I'm Wamide_A or Wamde.a on any of those. So email list. I'm gonna basically start off with teaching you how to start your email list. So this is also why I wanted to understand who exactly was in the room, and then we'll go into talking about how to grow and nurture your list, and then finally we'll go into monetizing your list because at the end of the day, everything that we're doing should be able to help us make money. And so we'll go over like how to start, how to grow and how to nurture, and then definitely how to monetize. So, okay, I see a couple people said they don't have an email list yet, but they read newsletters. So, cool stuff. Let's talk about how you can actually start one. Now, I know that starting an email list is not for everyone. Basically, an email list is just ultimately a separate expression on creating. So, kind of the same way you have an Instagram handle or you have a Twitter page that you grow to a certain extent. That's basically how an email is. It's just another platform. But then the value of an email list is that it's not just that it sells better than social media, but that it gives you control, it gives you ownership, and it actually gives you depth that you don't typically get on social media. But also, things are collapsing more and more these days. So I would say that they all go hand in hand. I'm not going to say build an email list, then forget your socials, or build socials and then forget an email list. Both of them do come together. Both your emails and social media can actually drive sales for you. And emails will always win. And I think the best part about emails for me, and this is as somebody that has been blogging for well over 10 years, is there is just this lovely what you call footprint, right? Because it's digital, because it's written, because it's almost static. It's something that you can go back to over and over and over again and basically see things. And the beautiful thing about writing is it really does help you with clarity. It helps you to clarify the thoughts that you have in your mind, right? And then finally, you would have heard people say things like social media is not ownership, you're borrowing space, and things like that. I'm not going to say whether any of this is true or false, but the core thing here is in the end, an email will give you direct access to people. Um, there's times when people take social media breaks, but you can't really take an email break, right? I take social media breaks every month. Sometimes it's a day off, sometimes it's a week off, right? But I can't really take an email break. So if you think about it in that context, you really then start to see that email draws you a bit closer to your audience, to your people. But ultimately, the best part about growing an email list is you doing it for you and using it to improve or grow a certain skill for yourself. Now, with all of that said, I want to share how I started my own email list and the core. And if there's anything you take away from this conversation today, the core thing I would tell you is to start before you're ready. I started out writing on Substack in 2022, but I had opened an account in 2021. Before then, I had been blogging on WordPress for about 6 years. So from 7 years, from 2014 all the way to that 2020, 2021. But I had also been on a lot of people's newsletters, and at the time, I'd spent about 8 years in my career and really felt led and felt this thing on the inside to just share a bit more about my work, my life, my career, and basically how I had navigated a lot of things I had been through. I started out this Substack newsletter without knowing exactly how it was going to turn out. But that's the beauty about starting before you're ready, right? And then in January 2022, I started to write things out. And in October, pardon me, that should be October 2025, I took the screenshot today. I currently have an email list of 10,244 subscribers, and it's been viewed 281K times. So all of this I'm saying is like growing your subscriber base really helps you commit a bit more to yourself. It's kind of the same thing you will do when you're growing your Instagram or your Twitter following. But I think the most important thing is it also really helps you get clearer about even the value that you're offering. And one key thing that happened with my email list this year is I started to offer a new digital product. And when I looked at the stats, a good chunk, almost about 40% of the sales on that product actually came from my email list. So start before you're ready. So we've talked about all the shebang. Now, what does it take to actually start your email list? I'm going to try to take this as basic as possible, right? And just focus on helping you go from point A to point B, because that's one of the best things that you can take away from here. I want this to be as practical as possible. So when it comes to starting your email list, obviously we know that this is about writing a newsletter and about sending emails to subscribers. So step one is this: figure out your why. As with everything, as with anything, you need to start off with you and start off from the inside. So you need to pick your focus. Ask yourself, why exactly do I feel compelled to write an email list? Don't let this be based on FOMO or based on what somebody else says or based on anything that I'm even saying today. Only let what I'm saying here today inspire you. But your why is something only you can figure out. We can help you with a couple of questions to figure out what that is, but be clear about your why. And when I say your why, I'm not saying, oh, I want to so and so and so. For example, my why when I started writing was because I wanted to be a better writer. I wasn't even trying to grow an audience. I wasn't even trying to sell anything. I just wanted to be able to write better. I already had a nonprofit. I had applied to a few grants, and I felt like I was falling short of storytelling and just communicating my story in a way that connected well with, application. So I wanted to improve and get better at writing my stories in a way that could connect better with people. And I just wanted to be able to create a rhythm to help me do that. So that's what I basically focused on. That was essentially my why. In doing that, I also then used it as, I would say, my journal, so to say. So the things that I would normally write to myself are the things that I was writing in this newsletter. For example, there was one time that I wrote on why we have birthday reflections and why people feel a certain way on their birthdays. That resonates because there's a lot of other people where around their birthdays they also feel a certain way. And so the beauty about knowing your why is it helps you just stay strong. And that leads me already into who you're writing to. So even though I said I was writing to version of me, or that I wanted to write better, I knew very well that I was writing for the version of me that I was just a few years back. I knew that I was writing for the version of me who was afraid. I knew that I was writing for the version of me who felt imperfect, or who felt like they had not yet arrived. I knew that I was writing for the version of me who was trying to figure stuff out. And that is a lot of us, right? So if you can define your audience, it makes things so much clearer. Sometimes when I'm writing, I act as if I'm talking to somebody like this, and that makes all the difference. My writing is very much as if I'm talking to somebody, because I want it to be intimate, I want it to be understandable, but I also want it to be practical. So this leads to the kind of content that you want to be known for. That my content is always practical. There will always be an actionable tip that you would find. Yes, it's inspirational, but at the core of it, I will say, go do this week. Or instead of doing X, do Y. So you would leave every piece of content that I write would leave you feeling like you can act on something. That's basically step 3, deciding exactly what you want to offer. And then step 4 is obviously how you deliver that content. And I'll share a little bit more about the tools that are out there. So like you'll be able to choose your tool and just figure out how exactly you want to deliver your content. So to recap, your why, your who, your what, and your how. Those are the 4 key things you need to figure out before you start out your email list. So now that you're clear about this, I'm just going to go over like your why. Again, mine is different. Yours could be connection, it could be sales, could be education, could be humor, could be entertainment. There's tons of things that I've read and seen across, but some people write about food, right? Some people write recipes, some people write just random things about maybe a girl, a guy. So it could literally be anything. So don't overthink your niche, right? Remember, start before you're ready. Just start with clarity, not perfection. You'll figure it out as you go. For your who, if you're confused about this one, here's what I would say. Try to think about, like I said in my example, the version of you a couple of years ago, right? So you can either define it by the pain points that you've been through, or you can speak their language if you're like in the present term. So like just define your audience with a pain point that yourself you've been through. I've transitioned careers 5 times. I know the career uncertainty that comes with making certain decisions. I've left a job without a backup plan before. I've resigned without knowing where exactly my next job was going to come from. I've stayed in a toxic work environment before. I've been in a big 4 consulting company before. So like I've lived so many lives that I have so much experience to draw from. And in all of those different lives, I've had some pain, and I've also had like some breakthrough. So that's a lot of experience that I can share and connect with people. So your audience is not just something people say or that you hear in marketing speak because they want you to go and create a deck or whatever, but it's actually one of your most powerful marketing assets. Now, if you're confused about what to talk about, this is how I always suggest to create content that connects. Think about this in terms of as if this person is in front of you. This is the hack that works for me, and I believe it will work for you too. Think about stories, lessons, just genuine value that actually makes people feel supported. And if you're not exactly sure how to start, you can use like this 3E framework. You can educate, you can engage, you can empower. So I'll give you like an example. There was one time I wanted to write an article or a newsletter on how to resolve workplace conflicts. Now, in itself, it seems like, hey, this is how you should manage workplace conflicts. I could go in that way. But before even getting into the meat of the matter, I started by engaging and weaving in a personal story. I talked about how when I was a junior associate, a particular manager had spoken down at me and I didn't like the way they spoke, and I spoke back at them and they were shocked, and that created a conflict. And so in weaving that story in, somebody else sees it and they're like, oh, I'm not mad for actually saying no to so and so manager. Or, so you're not just jumping into say this, do that, do that. You also want to be able to draw people into your own experience and just show your human side a little bit. So for me, the biggest hack in creating content that connects is really just being human. Think about it as if you were talking to your sister, your cousin, your brother, and someone that would be really able to relate to something that you're saying, your friend, right? And then just share it with them. It's like a coffee chat, so to say. So if you're unsure about how to create content, just go with like educate. I want to tell them about ABC, and then you can include something about engaging. It doesn't have to always go in this bucket. So like your engage part can come first, your educate can come next, and then let it always be like a clear call to action. Sometimes my call to actions look like send me an email, respond to me and let me know what you're thinking, respond to me and tell me if you felt this way before, respond to me or tell me if you're going to take this on this week. Things like that are ways that you can include call to actions for your audience. And then your how. Choosing the right platform is actually can be some sort of showstopper for some people, right? Because sometimes you might spend a good chunk of time just overthinking, am I doing the right thing? Have I chosen the right platform? Look, perfectionism is not the goal here when it comes to writing your email list, but also being clear about where you want to go and choosing the right platform is also as important, because all of that actually impacts the kind of experience that you want to create. So, fun story, I started on my first job writing newsletters. At the time, I didn't know what they were. I was just, I was writing, I wasn't actually even writing the newsletters. I was coding the newsletter. So at the time, we didn't have all of this. You see all these tools you see here, they didn't exist. Substack, ConvertKit, Flowdesk, Beehive, MailerLite, nothing. So I was writing HTML code, putting in tables, putting in images in those tables so that they could be pushed out via, I don't remember what mail server we were using at the time, and they were going to customers so we could tell them to buy our product. I was working at an e-commerce firm. And it's quite full circle for me to come back and start using tools like this to write. But the beauty about this is now I don't have to be worried about if this is bold or italics or what's to do, all the formatting. Nah, I can focus primarily on my writing. And for me, this was the most important thing when I decided to choose a platform. I wanted something that was simple. I wanted something where I wasn't going to overthink the bells and the whistles, because I can get sucked in when it comes to those kind of things. So I just needed something that was going to be plain and simple, and Substack did that for me. And so this is why I use Substack. It's writer first. It has a lot of built-in discovery, which has been one of the key ways that I've grown my newsletter. So a lot of people will find you and can refer you and can recommend you. For me, that was a solid sell. Remember, I said that I was already writing on WordPress for 6 years. I didn't have that sort of growth there. My writing has changed a lot. My audience has changed. My why has changed. But ultimately, the platform also really helped me get to where I am. But there are also a couple of other tools that I've seen amazing creators use over the years, right? ConvertKit is another great one. It's primarily like creator focused email marketing. It has a lot of automation and audience tagging. So if you're very heavy on like selling stuff and you want to be able to segment your users, your audience, then I will say, check out ConvertKit. There's also Flowdesk. I love Flowdesk because of all the aesthetic templates and things that they have, but therein also lay the problem for me, because again, I get so sucked into, so there were just too many options. I wanted something plain and simple. But if you're the very visually aesthetic type, then Flowdesk is definitely a solid one. They don't have a lot of automation, and it's not ideal for complex funnels, but it's great because your emails will always come out looking beautiful. And then there's Beehive, which in my opinion comes very closely to Substack, except that it's a little expensive. They have a couple of template options as well, but you only get I believe 2,500 subscribers on like their free tier. I currently have 10,000 subscribers, and it will cost a lot more if I were on Beehive than if I were on Substack. Actually, it doesn't even cost anything on Substack. Substack only charges you as soon as you start charging for your newsletter. Beehive, just like Substack, also has a lot of built-in referral and monetization techniques. And then there's MailerLite, which I actually use as well, but for something else. I think it's an easy tool. It's very simple and easy to use. I use MailerLite for most of my landing pages and my websites, but the newsletter site is also really great. I use that on another for another project, and they have quite a number of templates. They're also pretty affordable, so I thought I would just list, like, for anybody who was wondering, where do I start, which tool do I choose? I wanted to present you with a couple of options so that you could hit the ground running. Remember, for me, one of the key components of how I like to connect and engage with my audience is being practical, and the how is definitely how to get you there. So I'll pause here just to see how we're doing, if we're following. Questions, not questions yet, because I still have a couple of slides to go, but just making sure you're all following and everything is good. Cool. Okay. All right then. Super. So we've talked about how to start. Remember, figure out your why, figure out who you're writing to, figure out what you want to write about, and then how you want that message to be sent to them. That's just choosing your tool or choosing your platform. You figured out how to start. Let's talk about the messy middle, growing and nurturing your list, right? None of us are going to pretend that it isn't amazing when you put out content or when you share something and like thousands of people can resonate, or people can come back and either give you a like or a share or follow or anything like that. It's amazing, right? The same thing will happen with growing your email list. And when it comes to growing your list, the biggest thing I can tell you today is, when you write, please feel comfortable to promote it, right? I was very guilty of this and just act like, oh yeah, I should just focus on writing. But now I'm carrying my list on my head like this. Share it everywhere. Add your sign up link to your bio, to your thread, anywhere that has a link, put it there. If you prefer, you can throw it on Linktree so that you can put in multiple links everywhere. Your social media bios, your YouTube description, speaking gigs, podcast appearances. Here, follow, find me on Substack, right? Share it everywhere. You can't be shameless in promoting the thing that you have poured work into, right? It's not your CV, but it's part of what you're doing. So feel very comfortable to share it. And then there are lots of tools, like some of the platforms that I shared allow you to be able to create like a lead magnet. I think this is also like a really, really good way to grow your list. So like when we say share everywhere, this might mean that you're actually sharing based off of a post that you're reading, because naturally you should give people a reason to follow or subscribe to your newsletter. They won't just subscribe because you said, you guys, I have a newsletter, right? So maybe it's something that you write once that would make them connect to you. That's why we're saying you should share it everywhere. But even beyond that, you can be a bit more proactive in driving the growth for that newsletter. So you can create a lead magnet. This might look like a guide. It could look like a checklist, mostly free. That's why it's called a freebie, right? It could be a mini course. Like I've seen a lot of email series as a course. So you can do like a 5-day email series where you kind of talk through certain things and people can connect with you over the time and just build trust. Just focus on one particular problem, on what key thing. This wouldn't apply to everybody, so I didn't always even have a freebie myself, because remember, I didn't start out with wanting this to be like for creating. I just wanted to write better. So be comfortable to also evolve as things change for you, right? And start thinking about what a possible freebie could look like. So if you're looking at this as a creator, you should definitely have a freebie up. And then if you're just looking at this as, you know what, I just want to write or I just want to do whatever, then just get comfortable with promoting and sharing. And the third one I would say is collaborating, right? Collaborating is one core thing. And collaborating can look different. So in my case, I collaborate with a few other writers, or what we call publications on Substack, and I recommend their publication, they recommend mine. And that has been very helpful in helping us grow, because now you're crisscrossing your audiences. Behind every single one of us on this call is a network of people that I don't already have access to. So if, for example, Martha decides that she wants to share my newsletter on her WhatsApp or whatever, then I'm going to naturally be connected to the people that are in Martha's network. So that's kind of how it is as well. When depending on the platform that you're on, you decide to collaborate with other creators, you're also connecting to the audience that they already have. So if Adeze, for example, decides, you know what, I'm going to promote Wamde's Substack, Wamde is going to promote mine, then I naturally have access to Adeze's network. So think about collaborating as a core way to grow as well. Now, nurturing, on the other hand, growing is your follower list, right? So growing is just more like, I'm going from 10 subscribers this week to 100 subscribers next month. But nurturing is more about building that connection, building engagement, and really taking people all the way to like converting or selling or being able to do something with your newsletter audience. So 3 key things, and the acronym here is SMC. Stay consistent, or even CMC if you want to call it that way. Stay consistent, mix your content, and then create dialogue, right? When it comes to email, it's a two-way conversation. This is the reason why we love Instagram, or we love Twitter, or we love LinkedIn or whatever, because when you type, people can respond to you in the comments and things like that. Email is not always that way. So most times people are responding to you and they're responding in your inbox. So you sometimes have to try to draw that out. And that's why you have to be mindful and proactive about creating dialogue, asking questions so that your readers can respond, and just build genuine two-way conversations. Then many times I go back to newsletters that I've written as far back as 2023, and someone's response, just jogs my memory to do something, or I even go through something I myself wrote, and it just really helps to pick myself up. Maybe I'm going through something and I'm like, I don't know what to do, and blah blah blah. I would read something that somebody said, maybe how this was helpful for them, how exactly they went about applying the advice that I had given, and I would see a completely different perspective. So this is what we mean by nurturing. Staying consistent is also important, because honestly, consistency beats intensity. When I started out my email list in 2022, I decided on a bi-weekly reading. At the time, I was a first-time new mom, and I just wanted, again, to write. It wasn't necessarily about anything else. My goal was to reach 2,000 subscribers in that year. How I was going to do it, I wasn't sure. But the one thing that I committed to was to write every 2 weeks. And I used to send it out on Fridays. I committed to that, and by the end of that year, I had 2,500 subscribers. So when we say stay consistent, it's not so much so about everything else, but it's about you, the reading that works for you, because ultimately you're building trust and you're staying top of mind. If anybody goes back to what I was writing back in 2022, 2023, the way I was writing, you would notice that it has changed. Even my sender name, I didn't always write it out as Wamide and Marshall as the sender. It used to be like, in fact, my newsletter name was Notes to Self. So this is also what I mean by start before you're ready, right? It was only in 2023, after it had grown, I think by that time I had gotten to like 4,000 subscribers, that I started to think, okay, I want this to be a bit more structured. I want to start writing a bit more about career content. At the time, it was all just things I wanted to write to a younger version of me, or a different version of me, right? And then mix your content. So this is what I did. Get comfortable also accepting the decisions that you want to make. I decided, you know what, I want to move from just this Notes to Self, because I could already see this was going to grow bigger than what I anticipated. And I wanted a name that was going to outlast and just outlive all the things I was writing, and will be a big umbrella. And that's where On Growth came from. Naturally, it came from my consulting background and some of the things that I had seen. There was a particular company I was inspired by, but ultimately, the essence of doing that is so that I could mix my content. I wanted to be able to write about my career growth. I also wanted to be able to write about personal growth. So sometimes I write about going viral on Twitter. Sometimes I write about how to manage your manager. Sometimes I write about how to overcome perfectionism, right? So feel free to mix your content and just find your niche. In the end, It's really about clarifying your own voice and finding you that matters when you are building an email list. So just blend education as much as possible as you can, and just stay consistent, mix your content, and create dialogue. Now, before we get into all the stuff about monetizing, I'm going to spend some time talking about that. I also want to address a couple of things that I've seen that are just no-nos. There's a lot of patience when it comes to building anything, as you know, but some of the things that you shouldn't do is also like game the system. So please, as much as possible, don't add people without their permission, right? Don't overpromise and then under-deliver. I know life happens. I've taken breaks from writing a newsletter, and I would simply tell my audience, and I don't, in quotes, apologize for it, because I also need as much rest as possible. And sometimes when you keep going, you just cannot deliver the quality that you want. And when that happens, it's okay to withdraw. Sometimes you can also schedule. So there's like a lot of structure that you can build into whatever it is that you're building. But these are the things that are a no-no. Don't only email people when you're selling something. That's why that part about nurturing your list is very important. If you've created a rhythm, if you've created a schedule of some sort, you will find yourself reaching out to your email list. And eventually it will not just be that, come and buy my something product, come and buy my community, or come and buy my digital products that you're going to be doing, which can actually completely throw people off, right? And then don't chase numbers, focus on the relationships. It's very easy to be carried away. And I'll even say, like, don't underestimate your days of humble beginnings. It's very easy to be carried away when it seems like, oh, this person has gotten that and that person has gotten this. Please try as much as possible not to compare yourself, compare your own day one to somebody else's like day 130. And you don't need to copy other people's voices, just be inspired by their voices. Ultimately, the goal of creating, whether you're creating on social media or you're creating on an email list, is to find your own voice, is to be your own person, and to be as authentic as possible. So with all that in mind, my ultimate reminder would really just be like, keep a simple system, have a repeatable flow, and then you can always batch and schedule. I write my content throughout the week. Like, I throw in my bits and pieces throughout the week. By Friday, Saturday, I'm finalizing it. And then Saturday night, Sunday morning, I have it scheduled. And every Monday between 9 a.m. and 9:10 a.m., my subscribers get an email in their inbox about the matter of the week, so to say. I had something on monetizing, but I think I may have thrown it out. But when it comes to monetizing your list, there's like 2 or 3 core ways you can do that. You can sell directly to your audience. So this is, naturally, I always have a footnote in my newsletter where I tell people these are ways that I can help you. You can book a coaching call, or you can buy this product, or you can use this tool, right? You can also offer brand sponsorships. This year, once I crossed, even before I crossed 10,000 subscribers, I opened up brand sponsorships. Started out by reaching out to a few. In some cases, I also got some inbounds. And in a period of about, I'd say 4 or 5 months, I've already done 3 sponsored newsletter sponsorships, right? So you can definitely sell directly, and you can ultimately also have like brand features in your email list. But most of the time, it depends on like what tool that you're using that'll make that easy. But ultimately, there is no finish line to this thing, and there's 1,000,001 ways that you can totally monetize your email list by paid subscriptions. So you would be able to, for example, charge subscribers to pay you maybe $5 monthly or $10 monthly as your list. Encourages you list if you haven't done it. And if you are a step closer to doing it, then just use this as like your list. Pick your platform, define your purpose, create like your simple sign-up page if you don't already have one. For me, Substack already has that, so I don't need this. And then just draft your first welcome email. You will continue to figure things out as you go, but ultimately remember that every single person on your email list is a human being, and you need to serve them very well and nurture them as well as possible. So thank you all, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have about building your email list.
All right, thank you, Wamide. Thank you so much. That was really impactful, and it was super packed, to be honest. And I'm sure every one of us here, we took our takeaways, kind of. So thank you again, and that was really awesome. So this is the Q&A um, time. I'm waiting for people to drop their questions. Somebody says they have a question, but I can't find the question. Okay, so the first question we have from Dima is, how soon is too soon to monetize your email list?
Hmm. Good question. How soon is too soon? I think it depends on you. If you do some research and check industry standards, think about it. Who would you trust? I always use this example when I coach people who are trying to transition, and I say things like, if you were planning your wedding and you had a cousin who just started learning how to bake, and she insists that she wants to be your baker for the wedding, you've not seen her work. You've not seen her proof. You've not seen anything. You've not tasted the cake, and she says she can't do it. Are you going to trust that work to her? Most likely not, or him, whoever, right? So that's kind of the same way as well. What have you built? Where is the evidence of what you've put out there? What are people saying? Are you connecting well already with your audience, right? You would know the signals. My signal when it came to monetizing was quantity, because I had already spent a lot of time building engagement. So I knew that I had quality and engagement, right? I was already hitting a 40% open rate consistently on my newsletters. But I also wanted something that sounded nice to the ears when I was talking to prospective businesses, and that for me was like in the 10,000 mark. So once I got to like 9,000, 9,500 subscribers, I opened it up, and by open up I basically mean I started talking about it and letting the universe do its thing. But I also started reaching out actively to brands to say, I've done this, done that, done that, done that, and I believe your service or your product will benefit my audience. Yeah.
All right, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, the next question we have is, do you still write on WordPress or you abandoned it and moved to Substack?
Abandoned this budget. It's like an old boyfriend, left it, goodbye, and we're not going back. Because there was just no use for me with WordPress. So what I was getting on Substack was completely different from what I'm getting on Substack. With WordPress, I had to create, put in an image, and there was no discoverability. I found that on Substack, so ultimately I stuck with it. I still think of taking down the blog, but I use the blog for WordPress to document a lot of my experience when I was in business school. So sometimes people still find that helpful, which is weird. So I still have it, but I don't write on it anymore.
All right, thank you. So we have another question. I'm hoping to start posting content around real estate. Can it be done on the same page as other content I post? Because I fear it may take time to build trust with my prospective clients with a new page with very few following.
Okay, I don't know if this is like posting content like posting on Instagram, or this is like
Are you talking about email list or social media page? Because it's very confusing. So, Joy, just please add more clarity to your question so that Wamide can answer it
social media.
as clearly as possible. Okay, she said social media. Okay, can you answer that?
Not
Or
actually not my forte, so I will let I will let
okay,
her.
so I'll
Yeah.
just advise Joy to chill for Asani, who is our next guest speaker. Asani will be picking up the mic by 7, so you can ask Asani that question because she's a storyteller and she also uses social media well. Please, is there any tool you use for scheduling?
Substack currently allows me schedule, so I don't need to use any extra tool right now to schedule.
Okay. Somebody says, can we write stories?
By all means, again, start from the inside out. What is it that you want to do? What is the change that you want to see in the world? What is the thing that you think is missing? What is the thing that you're being drawn to? That's where you should ultimately start from. And yes, you can write stories. Your audience will find you. I used to think like I was this very boring, serious person, but somehow boring, serious people are also finding me. So please, if you love to write stories, do your things. Story lovers will find you.
All right. Thank you. A question we have is the last one I think is I write on Medium, and writing on WordPress sounds a bit similar. Would you advise I abandon Medium and focus on Substack?
Again, what is your why? Is the core thing here. I didn't include Medium because Medium didn't always have like a newsletter side of things. Medium was very much like WordPress. I started on Substack because I wanted like an archive of how you could still find my things. I know Medium kind of offers that, but I wanted like a closer archive, which is what an email does for you. I also have a Medium page. I don't write very often on it. So I don't think it's like abandon, and I wouldn't be able to give you like a yes, do this, no, do that. Because you have to test it out and figure out what works. If you're writing on Medium and you're already connecting with people, super. So if it's more about I want to find more people, try it on Substack and see what happens. Try it on Beehive and see what happens. But ultimately, it's not a should I do this or do that situation. It's really try something out and then figure out what works. And you would know where to like spend your energy ultimately. I'll give you another example. There's an article I have on Medium that did very well and didn't do as well on Substack. So you always have to like still decide what works for you. What are you optimizing for? Is it for the views? Is it for the claps? Is it for the likes? Or do you want to just build a digital footprint, right? So again, it has to go back to what is the goal that you're trying to achieve here. So I wouldn't say abandon Medium just like that because it has its own place. But figure out what works and where you're connecting with your audience. So you have an email list on sender.net, but sometimes you feel like more people should read what you write. So you're basically craving for more discoverability. That's basically what you're looking for. You've kind of already settled that you can write. Because that's another conversation entirely. You've kind of settled that you can write, and now you just want more people, you want more eyeballs on what you're writing. Again, you're gonna have to try it out. So feel comfortable to start, seek out people that are already in your space, and then you can also ask people to recommend for you. But ultimately, start trying out things. I know that these days Substack also has a notes app. It's kind of like Twitter, but basically you can write your thoughts and short notes from time to time. I don't use it a lot of times. I forget because again, I started with just writing. I wasn't even promoting at the time. So what you're craving now is discoverability. That can well happen through promotion. Like you should also ask yourself, am I promoting this thing enough? Because the same way you're going to promote it if you were on Substack, it's the same way you're going to promote it if it was sender.net. So what I'll say is this: why not spend the next 1 month committing to promoting this thing rather than thinking people should find me? Why not proactively promote it so that you can actually get a better sense of what is going on? And then if you're still not getting the discoverability that you want to see, then consider trying it out on Substack. You can easily import your subscribers or migrate your subscribers to Substack. And once you do that, start pushing and start promoting as well. Just see, if I spend 1 month doing this thing on Sender.net and I spend the same 1 month trying this out on Substack, what am I going to get? Is the thing that you're trying here. There's no hard or fast rule. I follow a lot of amazing creators, some of who use ConvertKit for theirs, some other people use Beehive. So like in the end, it's not so much so about the tool, but it's like every other thing around you, the engine around you, your writing, your promotion, your audience. Those are the things that really matter.
Oh, all right. Thank you. So we are just going to take two more questions, and we'll just kickstart the next session. So the first question is, how can I move my emails from spam, and how do I nurture a community virtually?
How do you move your emails from spam? Oh, I'm not sure on that one. You basically change it to not spam, I believe. And if you're struggling with your emails landing in spam, then it might be the provider's problem. So you might need to migrate. I had that problem with a couple of providers that I've used, and my emails would just not be delivered. So this is also something that you might want to consider. And if you're looking to nurture a community virtually, it's essentially what we're doing now. This is a community. I haven't met any of you in person, but we're connecting here, we're having these conversations. So nurturing a community is sometimes through an email list, sometimes it's through events, sometimes it's through workshops, master classes, or even when you have like a WhatsApp community or something of that sort. Something else I started doing this year was to kind of put a face. I would say I started it as a faceless faceless newsletter. So you can also start to put a face to it. So now I'm inviting more people to connect with me on social media, connect with me on Twitter, connect with me on LinkedIn. So when they see my stuff, it resonates as well. And they can come back on Twitter and say, I love today's newsletter. That's is a community. Naturally, you're just going round and connecting to people at the touch points that they already exist. That's essentially what it means to nurture a community. You're meeting people where they are at, or creating an environment to connect with them or to meet them somewhere else. So just like we're doing now.
Okay, so guys, we have a lot of questions here, but unfortunately, I won't be able to take everything. I'll just take one last question.
Let me help you. We have I can do two minutes, right? Let me see what I can answer in 2 minutes. So more light on brand sponsorships. Brand sponsorship is basically somebody saying, tell your audience about my tool. Say I have this water bottle, I'm somebody and nobody else knows about my water bottle. I can say to Titilayo, please help me tell your audience about my water bottle, and in return I will pay you, I don't know, 10% for every water bottle that they buy. That's basically what brand sponsorship is. So someone is paying you a certain amount, both of you decide what that amount is, to connect their product or service to your audience. That's basically what it is. You can check out mine, wamdede.substack.com. You can also check out Justin Welsh. He writes The Solopreneur, and that is also a great place for you to find. He has brand sponsorship every week for every newsletter that he writes. What's the difference between an email list and a blog? An email list is basically a blog. You don't have the audience, you don't have the subscribers, so to say. It's just a place where it's like a directory where people can come to and they can see it. But with an email list, I have your email. I can send you an email and tell you this is how my week went. For a blog, I can write it, this is how my week went, but I don't know who will see it. It could be you, it could be David, it could be Blossom. I'm not sure. But with an email list, I have David's email, I have Blossom's email, I have Tisilayo's email, and I can tell you this is exactly how my week went. Cool. And then I'll answer the last one I can see here is promoting newsletters. What are the top ways to promote newsletters? We're going to go back to the slides and just talk about it. That would be share everywhere, offer a freebie, collaborate. So share everywhere you can. Your WhatsApp is a great place to start. Create a freebie, 5 ways to create something, 5 ways to speak better, 5 ways to improve your public speaking. That's a freebie. Collaborate with other people. You can tag other people on your newsletter and things like that. So
all right, guys, thank you so much, Wamide, and for speeding up the last few questions. That's awesome. Thank you so much. We really appreciate this impactful session. I'm sure every one of us here, we're going home with more knowledge about building a community through email list, and also, sharing what to share, how to write better, and most importantly, just starting. So thank you so much once again. We really appreciate.